65% of people, when asked what they are on a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to looks, they say they're a 7 or above. But there's only room for about 15% of people statistically at 7 or above. So the math ain't mathin'. We need to correct this equation, calibrate, and then expand the equation more than just looks. We need a calibrated way of really assessing ourselves fairly on the market. So if there's a dating market out there, we need to treat it like we're brands in that market. And every brand has different designs. I've been doing package testing for 30 years and tested over 500 package designs with millions of consumers. You have to have a market perspective. I can like the package, someone else can like the package, but ultimately the market will decide. So we'll go into an exercise and a new equation that can help us get an understanding for what the ratings really will mean on looks. But we're not going to stop there. We also need to expand the dimensions of a human's value on the market more than just looks. Recognizing that looks are important, especially in this swipe left, swipe right society that we live in with apps. And seeing that we see so much on social media with people showing the best versions of them at the best time of day with some retouching done. And there's these inflated ideas of what people need to look like. Not only did the statistics show that people thought that they were a 7 or above, but they also weren't willing to date partners below a 7. So if 60% of the people or more are not 7s, but they want to date 7s, but 7s can only be 15% of the population, no one's getting married. This just can't work. We have to understand where we are in the bell curve and build out ourselves in different dimensions other than just looks. If not, it's going to be a lot of continued pain because people are going to go walk into a market with overinflated perceptions of themselves, and they're going to be disappointed and rejected. Or they're going to go in with understated ratings of themselves, and they're going to settle or not command their maximum value on the market. So you need this calibration when it comes not just to looks and body, but when it comes to other areas. And what are those other areas? Well, just like a brand has a design component, which is that physical component, a brand, that's maybe the beautiful design of the Apple iPhone. Well, there's also what's in the iPhone and the smart, intelligent things that it's able to do. That could be a person's mind. So you got physical body, you got mind, which is what's inside. What's your brain? What's your mental capacity, your academics, your street smarts? So body and mind. But then it doesn't stop there. You also have resource. You have what Apple allows you to do, the premium look and the premium appeal of walking around with the iPhone. That is a financial aspect there. And it also comes at a pretty penny and a price tag. So you have financial, we're going to call that resources for humans. We have body, we have mind, and what's left? Well, Apple, especially Apple, when you look up at the top of the glowing apple when you walk into a store and you see the glowing apple with a piece bitten off of it, it reminds you of a biblical story. It's like a halo. Apple becomes something that almost has a spiritual connection. You want to connect to Apple's purpose. You're not just buying the phone, you're buying into what Apple is about. So that's this spiritual connection piece. We're going to call that soul. So for the human, we have mind, body, soul, and resources. I call that your dating value proposition. It has body included, but it's more than just body. So you could even think about the tensions between the two. So mind is on the left, body's on the right. There's tension between mind and body. There's tension between soul, which is on top, and resources on the bottom. The more resources you have, can you maintain the same soul? The more soul that you have, do you care about the resources? So that's your dating value proposition. So when you take it into the market's going to assess each one of those. And the biggest eye opener for people is that on a scale of 1 to 10, there's not 10% getting, there's not an even spread where 10% get 1, 10% get 2, all the way up to 10. Nature and math work on a bell curve where the majority of people are going to be in the middle and very few people are going to be on those extremes. And so your job is to figure out where you are and how to maximize your potential, how to be the best version of yourself. And ironically, the toughest place to do that is body. Let me tell you, a lot of people say, Vince, you're writing this book about dating. You gotta, you have a rating scale in there for people to do self-assessments. Why don't you assess yourself? Well, I already have. When it comes to looks, what I call body in the book, I'm a 6.3. Yes, we can include decimals. And when I say that, I know that two things are going to happen immediately. Some people are going to go to the comments and say, "Oh no, Vince, you're more like a 7," and they're going to be being nice. And then other people are going to go to the comments and be like, "What do you mean you're 6'3"? You're very average. You're 5." And that's what being a 6'3" is, or a 6 is. The being rounding off to a 6 is having some people say that you could be a 7, and then some people say that you're average. But on average, the majority of people are probably fitting you right in the 6 category. But it's not a terrible place to be. If a 5 is average, a 6 is cute. Okay, it looks okay, right? And then that's a 6. But then the 7 is actually, they're attractive, right? So while I could have gotten attractive once in my life from some small percent of people, that's not the average for me. So some people, and I've hung around people and studied this, right? So my crew was, had the entire range, and the guys that were 7 and they were, 6'3" or 6'6", and just very unique features and cut bodies and built, and that they were getting that attractive type attention, and I would know that. And so even as I've been a 6'3" since I was 6 or 3. So I was always focused on mind because I wasn't going to be the captain of the basketball team or the football team. So I focused on mind, and that's what I got affirmation for. And I also focused on soul because I've always wanted to be connected, to stay connected to a source and grow and learn more about that source. And it's more, when it comes to source, it's more around kind of alignment with a higher power and being selfless. That's kind of how I define source in the book. And then there's resources, which if your mind is really, really focused and your source grounds you, they will enable you to produce resources and more value and kind of income in the world. And so that's the total picture. So I knew to focus on things that I could change. And my 6'3", I was a 10 out of 10 happy about my 6'3" because it's mine. And in that way, I could focus on those things that I could improve more. And then at least I know where I am when it comes to the body component. We need to know where we stand so we'll know what we need to work on. And the body rating especially is one that it can't go up a lot because you kind of are where you are with regardless of surgery and things you can try to change. You're not really going to change much on body other than being, a little bit better fit, but you can go down on body. And so you can slip a whole point or two just based on damaging things that you do to your body, right? But on areas like mind and soul and resources, you can also go up notches based on things that you can produce and the value that you can bring to the world. So that's a more fully rounded equation. So I started talking about body because that's the society that we live in the swipe left, swipe right, highly engaged in people's, superficial qualities. But we have to expand the equation beyond that. So design is great, but it's not going to produce a fully rounded human being. You have to have both form and function. So if you want to hear more frameworks like this, click this next video for more frameworks from Date Like a Brand.